Hey there, in this video, I'm going to talk about victory after miscarriage and what that looks like. I'm going to start by reading the dedication to this book, and if you want a complimentary copy, just go ahead and sign up for the newsletter and you'll get a free PDF version of this book, Poetry Depicting Grief and Loss, Hope and Healing. So here's the dedication. Dedicated to Marge and all the others who dwell in the shadow of a grief-altered identity. May you find healing in your heart and rest for your soul. I wrote love letters to miscarriage moms 15 years ago, and in that time, I've heard hundreds and hundreds of stories of women who have experienced infant loss. Some of them are able to move on, and some of them are not. Some of them have created organizations and support groups for infant loss, and others remain in their grief. I'm going to say something that sounds kind of harsh, but it's true. Our babies died, but we did not. There are some people who never overcome their grief, who lose a loved one and die sad as if that loved one's grave becomes their own. And I know you don't want that. I know you don't want that to be you. But then we have to take intentional steps to overcome grief. And in this video, I'll talk about things we have control over and things we don't have control over. But if we want to move on toward hope and joy so that grief does not define us, then there are intentional steps we have to take in order to overcome our grief and not let it rule our lives forever. When I first miscarried, I was numb. I couldn't move, I couldn't text my friends, I couldn't think straight. It was bad. Grief is completely disarming, especially when we're hoping for something that doesn't happen. We're hoping for a baby and we finally get pregnant and then we start bleeding. Every period becomes a non-pregnancy, and victory looks different at different stages of grief. Minutes after my first miscarriage happened, I slunk to the floor in the kitchen and I stared at the stove. Just stared. I was numb. I couldn't move. I texted a friend and told her it was official. I lost the baby, and she texted back like, "What do you want for dinner? What can I do? How can I help you?" I didn't have enough bandwidth to even answer her text. So she texted back again. She said, "I am bringing you dinner. What do you want?" And I said, "Lasagna and a peanut butter shake." Like, I just thought of the first thing that I was craving, and I texted that, and that was it. And she texted back that she'd bring that stuff. So she did. She brought a lasagna that all I had to do was put in the oven and turn the temperature on. She brought me a huge jar of peanut butter and ice cream in order to make my peanut butter shake and my lasagna. But I couldn't move. Hours after the miscarriage, I sat on a chair with a heating pad and I journaled. And I journaled and I journaled. I just wrote and wrote and wrote my thoughts, my devastations. A week out from the miscarriage, I really hadn't gotten off the couch. I really hadn't done much. I let myself binge TV and just sit there, and I sobbed and I cried. And 2 weeks out from the miscarriage, I still didn't want to talk to anyone who hadn't experienced infant loss. So every phone call I had, every conversation was with someone who experienced infant loss, because I wanted someone to be where I was. I wanted to know that life moved on. I wanted to hear their stories. I wanted to hear from them. 3 weeks out from the miscarriage, I was on the phone with a family member, and I was confessing that I was struggling to shower, struggling to brush my teeth. A lot of people who hadn't miscarried said things that were untrue. "Oh, you'll get pregnant again. Oh, you'll have a baby, don't worry." Like, you don't know those things. You can't promise those things. And she gave me really great advice. She said, just take it minute by minute. So here are practical steps to become a victor over your grief. Number 1 is create small goals. Even if it's brush your teeth, or take a shower, or walk to the end of the block and back. Create a small goal and accomplish it. That's step 1, because in the aftermath of the grief, part of living is simply surviving. Victory is just survival. At a certain point, you're going to realize that you are doing more than surviving, that your goals are getting bigger, that you're able to make it 2 or 3 minutes without thinking about the loss, and that you're actually sort of kind of functioning at work. So then victory looks a little bit different. If you are in that place right now where you are transitioning between the absolute darkness of grief to waking up a little bit, as I kind of described it in one of these poems, and she told them they were loved, I described grief as an explosion, and I describe how people closest to the impact are the last to feel the effects. There's numbness, you can't hear, you can't see, there's adrenaline. And so after the adrenaline of the loss wears off, and we start to move through that grief, and we've accomplished showering, and we've accomplished walking, and you realize that you're still grieving and you're still in a lot of pain, there's a point where you can identify that about yourself. When you reach that point, you can also ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do in order to be healthy? I would write it down. I need to do 45 minutes of cardio. I need to finish these tasks for work. I need to do this in order to clean the house. By the way, cleaning the house is actually great therapy. So first, you're going to write down your goals. And then next to your goals, you're going to write down the name of a person who will keep you accountable. Prior to my miscarriage, I'd been going on 5K runs with my friend Barb. And I stopped that after I miscarried. I called Barb and I said, hey, I want to keep exercising with you. My goal is to exercise 3 days this week. Please keep me accountable. We chose times and dates and put it on the schedule, and I worked out 3 days that week. Working out 3 days that week felt like a small, measurable, accomplishable goal. And that is your objective, is to create tasks that you can accomplish. Learning how to function in real life with real people is only part of the victory process, is only part of the healing process. The larger portion of victory over grief and healing involves the heart. And it's a lot harder. It's a lot trickier. It's a lot. It's just a lot. And there are certain things that we can control, and there are certain things we can't control. We can control whether or not we brush our teeth and shower and go for a run. Probably not in that order. But we cannot control how fast our heart heals. We cannot control whether or not we'll get pregnant again. We cannot control whether or not we will carry a baby till full term. And so part of overcoming grief is acknowledging what we can control and what we can't control. And again, I recommend journaling. It sounds silly, but write a column. Things I can control, things I can't control. And your list is going to be painful, and you'll cry through it. Grief is dark and painful, and the people who don't overcome their grief are the ones who are afraid to face that pain. The hardest part about grieving is allowing the pain to come and roll through you and over you and feel all the feels. You have to let the pain come. The pain has to go somewhere. If you're grieving infant loss, it doesn't help to pretend that it wasn't real. You are really a mom. You are really a dad who lost your child. People will say really stupid things like, at least the baby wasn't real, or, at least it wasn't an older child, or at least it wasn't fill in the blank. But the truth of the matter is, from the moment you knew you were pregnant, you started dreaming about whether or not that child would be a girl or a boy, whether it would look like mom or dad. Is the baby gonna love football or dancing or all these things, right? And you rearrange your schedule and you rearrange your house and you make room for the baby. You make room for the baby in your heart and in your life. So it's not just the death of a child, it's the death of dreams as well. And it's really important to acknowledge that. You are a mother who lost her child. You are a father who lost his child. That's real, and it hurts. And it's important to acknowledge that. And when the grief comes, when you feel that grief coming on, when you feel those hard, painful emotions coming, let them come. And devise strategies for yourself to do things with your hands, with your body, while you let those thoughts and emotions roll through you. Does that mean exercising or cleaning or writing a book like I did? Let the emotion come and do something with it. Do something productive with your grief. This is possibly the most powerful way to become a victor over your grief rather than a victim. So now here's the hardest part of becoming a victor over your grief. And this part's going to be hard to hear. Part of your victory means accepting that you may not get pregnant. Part of that victory will mean releasing your grasp on that dream while still holding on to hope. You can do both at the same time. You still hope that you will get pregnant, that you will have a child, that the IVF treatments will work, that the adoption will go through, that the surrogate will go through. And you simultaneously figure out what it means to live a full life without a child. Who are you without 2 lines on a pregnancy test? What does your life look like if you never become a biological mom? You have a beautiful heart and a beautiful life. You have so much love to give. I know that because you're watching this video and you want a baby. You have all this love that you want to give a child and you have nowhere to put it. What does your life look like if you never carry a child till full term? Write down your dreams, write down your goals, and write down what a beautiful life looks like for me without a baby. And you put your focus there. You turn your attention there. Will you always hurt about the child or children you've miscarried? 100%. Moving forward and learning how to have a beautiful life is what victory looks like until we receive our ultimate victory of life after death. And Jesus introduces us to our children. Well done, good and faithful servant. There's someone I want you to meet. You are a mom. You are a dad. And you will see your child one day. Hang in there, okay? You are loved. You are not alone. If you have a topic or a question or a fear that you would like me to address in a future video, feel free to leave me a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to see future content. And like I said, if you want a free copy of She Told Them They Were Loved, it is yours for the taking. Just click the link in the description. I wish you the very best. You can do this. You've got it. You can be victorious over your grief. In this video, I'm going to talk about I wrote hundreds of stories of other women, other families. I wrote love letters to miscarriage moms. Oh, God, help me. If you want to move on toward hope and joy, then you have to be that